Today I'm going to give you a quick rundown of how we replaced the engine on this 2006 Honda Civic Hybrid. Make sure to watch my other video about how we turned off the high voltage battery. So far we have removed the wiper blades, intake box, battery, and the upper rat support. Now we are taking off the hood. Windshield cowl is off now, and we can remove this upper dash lid, which was held on by 5 10mm and 4 12mm. They were really rusty, but with a lot of penetrating fluid, we got them out. Now we are draining the coolant, transmission oil, and the engine oil. Overflow tank is off now. The battery tray was held on by 4 12mm, 2 at the top and 2 at the side of the frame. Disconnected the cooling fans and the hoses, and the radiators off. Now we remove the both front axles. And the intake manifold off. Here we are disconnecting the wiring harness and leaving it inside the vehicle. There is only 2 high voltage harness under the engine bay. One is for the AC compressor and the other one is for the IMA motor. AC compressor was held on by 3 14mm. Have someone to hold the compressor when you're prying. Now we are taking off the shifter cable, and here's how the shifter cable was connected. After removing that cotter pin, we used a lot of penetrating fluid. Wiggle the pin out with the locking pliers. I label the heater core hoses before disconnecting them, so I don't mix them up when I'm putting it back together. Here I am moving the fuse box to a side so I can get access to some brackets that might be in the way when we are pulling the engine and tranny out. Now we have the engine chained up. So I had to jack up the car so we could get the engine crane in. As you guys can see, here's why a stud removal tool would be really helpful. Because those two studs were on the way and I was struggling to get the mount out. Now we are disconnecting the engine mount. And don't forget, there is one more mount located underneath. Now all the mounts are off. Engine and tranny should be free. Here's our used engine from the scrapyard. And look what they did. They cut the wire for the IMA motor position sensor. There is a special tool available for pulling the IMA motor without damaging anything. But I couldn't find anything aftermarket. So I'll be soldering the old harness to this sensor. Now we are removing the flywheel bolts through the starter hole. After separating the engine and tranny, we realized we don't have to do that. We could have just removed the bell housing bolts and separated just like a manual transmission, because there is no torque converter in this transmission. Here I'm trying to find a spot to pry the tranny away, but I couldn't find any opening. Then I used a rubber mallet to separate them. I'm just pulling the IMA motor off this old engine to show you guys what failed in this thing. As you can see, it has a failed rear main seal. And also this engine had over 300,000 kilometers. So yeah, that's why we are replacing it. I was pretty impressed with Honda engineering. Even though it had a rear main seal leak, it didn't make any mess in the IMA motor. Now we are going to install the new input shaft seal. Here I am using the old seal to guide the new one in. This time we mounted the flywheel to the engine. And here I am soldering the connector for the IMA position sensor. Now we are mounting the tranny to the engine. Make sure to get new dowel pins, because for sure you can't save the old ones. And now we are dropping the engine and tranny. Look what happened to the old mounts. It's completely destroyed. Make sure to install the lower rad hose before installing the intake manifold. We forgot, but somehow we managed to get it in without removing the manifold. Filling all the fluids now. Turning on the high voltage battery. You can hear the secondary starter trying to turn, but seems like we have a weak battery. So we hooked up a booster pack. After a lot of cranking, a little bit of throttle, we got it to run. As you guys can see, we don't have any warning lights on the dash. And we took it for a spin and everything was fine. Thank you for watching, guys. If you find this video helpful, consider subscribing.